Welcome to Holistic Health and Healing, a show offering solutions for the body, being, and beyond. In each episode, we discuss topics that empower you to take a holistic approach to step into your unique voice in this world. Now, here are your hosts, Dr. K and Hank Setala, the Sonic Shaman.
Happy Monday, everyone. Just in time for the holidays, we are going to be talking about dealing with drama and just different ways you can kind of keep your sanity through the, family invasion or whatever else goes on your holidays or just Christmas shopping. Like there's all kinds of crazy drama that can happen around this time of year.
Yeah, absolutely. So the holidays. Where shall we start?
I think going into all of this, like the one thing is when drama shows up, be in the space of allowance and non-judgment, because the thing that charges us the most is when we're looking at whatever's unfolding in front of us and we have a judgment or a point of view about it. But if we can just say like interesting point of view that this is happening, or if someone's really choosing weird things, you could be like, wow, I honor their journey, their soul is picking some very interesting contrast. There's like ways where you can kind of step out of the energy of getting caught up in that drama thing. So that's where I just throw out to start, like, be the space of allowance through the holidays with whatever and whoever shows up.
And that's a tricky piece for people. Being in the state of what I call objectivity, meaning, like Hank said, you're just kind of looking at it and not getting tangled up in it. However, we have family, we have friends, we get triggered. If you can work on not getting triggered, and how do you do that? That's the people are like, well, yeah, great. How do I do that?
Since we mentioned family, let's put up my favorite acronym of all time. Family stands for effed up and mainly interested in limiting you. No, not all family, but like in general, even with the most well intentions, sometimes we limit our children or we limit our associates. Like, oh, don't dream too big. You don't want to be disappointed. Like even things like that, well intention can be such a limiting factor. So this is just my favorite acronym. I had to throw it up there.
He's like, oh, so excited to put that up there. If you can just. The best way to do it is just back up from it all. Just back up and watch it like a movie. And that's tricky sometimes because people will push your buttons. And when they push your buttons, then you get activated. If you can do your best to put your tongue to the roof of the mouth and just breathe while they're doing their thing, understand it's their programs. It's their stuff. It is not your stuff. Yet, people like to project. They like to pull people into their energy. They like to pull people into their stuff to make their stuff bigger because some people like drama. Let's just say that. There are people that like drama and trauma. It somehow it energizes them. And because if people are at a low energy, sometimes even just watching TV, and this will happen with adrenal issues actually. If your adrenal glands are really low, you need that rush. And some people actually get that adrenal rush by watching the news, by getting into people's drama, and just it works them up. It's like a coffee. So when they're really low and they don't have enough energy, it's like these little things will start happening to drive them up to that second level. So it gives them some energy. And I know that's tricky, but it actually does have a tie into the adrenal glands.
Yes. And what about people who might be watching that they are the drama causers? So like, is there a way that they can get that little rush maybe without having to create the trauma and drama? Because that's kind of another angle to look at this. Either you're going in and you're looking to be, interesting point of view with the drama that shows up, or you're going in and maybe have the awareness that you're the hoocha stirrer, you're the drama stirrer, and maybe you want to start to choose something different.
Absolutely. If you are, most of those people are doing it on a subconscious level. And most of those people, I don't know if they'd be listening to this or not, because it doesn't typically apply, because it doesn't help them get more of that. We speak on the total opposite, rewinding that. So whatever you're putting out, if you're creating more drama, you are going to create more drama to you. And some people like that. For whatever reason, it is feeding something. And you have to look inside and be objective and say, okay, why do I feel like I need to continue to have this conversation about XYZ? Why do I need to continue to have this conversation about Sarah's boyfriend and why they shouldn't get married or whatever it is? What is it inside that you feel you need to continue to have that conversation?
Right. That's a great, because everybody knows we're at least, well, both of us are all about the question, like, really, what is this really the need to interact with that drama, perhaps there's something to look at within that you could start to shift and then have a totally different experience around it. Because there's a thing where like whatever you resist persists. And
Mhm.
if you are not allowing yourself to really look at something within yourself, the universe is going to deliver to you like things, opportunities to have that mirrored back and be like, hey, are you ready to deal with this yet? Hey, are you ready to deal with this yet? And then once you like actually look at it, that particular drama showing up might just fade away into the distance, or it might be happening, but you don't even notice it because the thing that's resonating with you that made you notice it in the first place has now shifted.
Yeah. So where do you fall? I personally run from drama and trauma. Aside from when it got into the whole viral thing, I found myself 2 years ago getting caught up in trying to convince people of certain things because I have knowledge that others don't. However, I have backed up from all that, and I got the message very clearly that the people must learn on their own, and you can give your opinion gently if asked. However, don't imprint your beliefs and things on people because the people must learn on their own. So I was in there for a while and I was like, wait a minute, I am creating a lot of drama and trauma around this and creating more confusion and more, I think, anger than and feeding into the system. So the other thing that happens is there's a book called Transurfing in 78 Days. And
You never give me a
but
and up about books. I'm
yes,
not ready
because
for
it's just
it.
coming to my mind. Vadim, his first name is Vadim, Vadem, and I'm trying to remember his last name. It's not coming to me because I just got the book. Um, Transurfing in 78 Days. But it talks about these things called pendulums. So when you start to get hooked into something, it creates almost like this negative gremlin. I'm going to call it a little gremlin, and they feed off of these things, and then they energize you more. So and this is, I think, what creates. He talks about this. It creates more drama and trauma. It expands the energy. So the more you can breathe and like I always say the awareness is the biggest key. The more you can get yourself into your awareness and going, oh, okay, I'm going down this rabbit hole. I'm starting to feel myself you'll feel it. You'll feel that anxiousness getting inside you. Like, I need to answer this. I need to get into this conversation. I need to prove this person wrong. I need to talk about this.
Ooh.
Go, okay, whoa, wait, back up because I'm just going to create more of this. And these little gremlin pendulums, as he calls them, are going to come in and they feed off of these things and they actually like it. So they will create more energy around the person and the situation, and then it creates more stuff. So if you can catch yourself and pull yourself out before you start having that conversation, that's the key.
Right. And every place where we want to react through our daily life instead of respond, let's pot and pock that. And what was the name of that book one more time? I'm going to look it up and post a link to it.
It's got a red cover, Transurfing and 78
Transurfing?
Transurfing. Yep. So transurfing meaning you're riding it's like you're in a plane. That's the way I describe it. And you're looking down on, if any of you have been in a plane, that's kind of how, if you can live your life that way, being in
Ooh.
objectivity. It's a red cover by Vadim.
Yep.
Vadim.
I think I found it. Yeah. So Vadim Zeland.
Yes.
Transurfing
Yes.
in 78 Days, a practical course in creating your own reality.
Reality. Yeah. It's
Oh,
really good.
it
It's a
sounds
thin book
very
too.
okay.
So yeah, it's really,
Oops.
it's riding above the things in life. Riding, it's like picture yourself on a plane and like you're looking down and you're like, oh man, do you look at all this chaos? If that's called transurfing, like you're you're in objectivity, just watching everything versus being in it. So if you can get a handle on that a bit and really get yourself in a space where you can be in objectivity rather than in the situation. And I know many people may be out there asking, well, great, how the heck do I do that? Because when I go to dinner, it's going to be all this and that. One way to do that is put your tongue to the roof of the mouth.
Hmm.
You just close your mouth and you're just listening. Don't say anything. Just don't, or mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And your tongue is rolled and put to the top of the mouth. And sometimes I just cross my hands like that because the other thing to talk about here is when you talk about somebody and when you are, how should I say it, badgering them, so to speak, even if they're not in your presence. Like, say you really don't like your neighbor and you're like, that MFer, he did this and this and this, and I can't, I'm just going to call it. And you wish poorly upon that person, you're actually almost psychically attacking them. They're not there, but they feel that energy. They're going to feel that energy coming at them. You're throwing poop on their windshield. I'm not saying they did right by you or wrong. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Just don't get into that stuff because you are
Right.
harming yourself and you're harming them too. And
Yep.
you might want to harm them, but that will come back to you. So just don't do that.
Yep. Energy flows where your attention goes. So like instead
Exactly.
of that, like what thoughts of peace and calm or kindness, or like the question in access I would like to ask around that is like what energy could I be and what choices could I make to create a different possibility around blank, fill in whatever situation is coming up for you, showing up in my life. And then instead of like the why energy, like, oh, why does this keep happening? You're in the space of saying, hey, universe, I would love to have something different show up around my neighbor, around my family member, or around whatever the energy is that you're looking to shift.
Absolutely. So some people may want to wish their neighbor poorly or their friend or whoever it is that you really HATE. I don't like to even use that word uh, anymore because it's such a strong energy word. We talked about words and the power of words in one of our other videos. Um, so try not to psychically attack people, even if you're angry at them. Just you have to maintain this neutral state. So if you can just do that and just this will prevent you from getting pooped on when somebody is because when somebody's yelling at you, they are also psychically attacking you. They're throwing poop on your windshield. So this is one way of protecting yourself. Just crossing your hand, and then nobody's going to know when you're sitting at the table like that or at a meeting or whatever. Nobody's going to know what the heck you're doing. But it is, and crossing your hands. I mean, this is really uh, it's just harsh. But when people start doing this means they don't want to listen to what you have to say. So don't always necessarily recommend doing that. You can just cross it here because that means you are starting to. It's an energetic protective factor. Actually, you are dispelling and blocking some of the energy that's coming towards you, as well as crossing your legs. You know, a lot of people in meetings cross their legs and they sit there and they're like this. That's not allowing, if you're speaking to them, that's not allowing the energy to come through to you. So it might be helpful in situations where somebody's yelling at you, but not so helpful if you are like on this Zoom or this stream right now, because we are trying to give you good, healthy energy. And when you do stuff like this, that's like, I don't want to hear it. I want to hear what you have to say. And you're blocking our energy for helping you or any kind of that, meditative type situation. So you don't want to do that there. But
Another thing
go
too
ahead.
is like if you're working on yourself and you've been kind of increasing your vibration or whatnot, sometimes it's just natural that people kind of fall away. Like I have had quite a few people, like we just kind of naturally drifted and we're going different directions. And that's it's fine to honor that. And you don't have to force like a friendship or a family ship, like granted family's family, right? But it doesn't mean that you have to be as involved with them if it's just not a vibrational match. And it's
Yeah.
just allow yourself the freedom to, and honoring of you to walk the path that you are naturally following.
And the other, it's a really important piece because look at the people around you that you are surrounding yourself with because you've attracted those people. When I started doing this work, I had friends start to fall away. And there's nothing bad that happened. We didn't have arguments. It's just there's certain friends I don't even talk to anymore. We just stopped hanging out. And these are the phenomena of what starts to happen when you start doing the inner work. If you do the inner work, you will attract less drama. You will find that the people that are poking at you don't poke at you so much. They just don't. You don't hear from them as much anymore. They kind of fall away. You're not in communication so much anymore. And you'll just find that you'll attract a different type of personality. And you'll have, rather than having 10 people yelling at you, maybe one or two will come in, little instances will happen, but you'll be able to tackle it so much better. So
Right.
it's all about the inner work and really clearing yourself out. And Hank and I can help with that. So if you're
Yep.
attracting a lot of drama or dealing with a lot of trauma and drama, like our title here says, let's look within because somewhere that is coming to you because of what's going on inside you. Are you in
Right.
agreement with that?
Oh yeah, and and I've given this analogy many times. I look at life kind of like that musical Into the Woods, and it's like if you're not familiar with the musical, all the childhood fairy tales are happening at the same time in the same forest, interacting with each other. And if you can look at whatever's showing up as like, wow, that's a really interesting play, that's a really interesting scene, movie, it really takes a lot of the charge off if you realize that in this calcite pouch of this field of living energy, nothing matters because nothing's matter, and it's all just charge based on the lenses that you're looking at it with, and the point of view and the judgments that you assign to it, you can really take a step back and just appreciate it for the telenovela of the soul that it is, and just
Absolutely.
honor their journey. And it makes it,
Yeah.
that's been my mantra recently when like things really crazy show up. It's just like honor their journey, and it makes it so much easier just to not get involved. I don't have a role in their play. I'm just going to watch it play out, and I don't have to engage with it.
Exactly. The more you can do that, the better. Really. And that's tricky. I know sometimes it's easier said than done. And you're like, I'm going to go into this dinner and I'm not going to. And then by the time the night's over, you're like, man, I got caught up in it again. Don't berate
Well,
yourself.
and with family, especially if you don't see family often, sometimes like we're going to be having a lot of experiences with family, and sometimes the only way that they're willing to receive somebody is that baby girl or that baby kid, boy or whatnot, that they raised, and they don't see you for the adult that you are. And then the only way that they can receive you is if they're having drama as if you were a child. And so like when you're going into a family dynamic, really say like, every place where I'm aligning and agreeing with a projected role or an expectation of how I'm to be received, destroy and create that and be the authentic you. And my favorite mantra, especially going into the holidays, is speak your truth but soothe your words with peace. And like that's a great way where you can really say what you need to say, but do it in a way that maybe isn't as triggering or feeding into that drama dynamic. That because let's face it, we're going to see family, whether or not it's going to create drama, we still have control over, are we feeding
Yes.
into that, or are we saying what our truth in a way that can diffuse that teke, that fight that is created with that drama dynamic.
Yeah. And a simple way, just remember two things that are coming to mind, that are coming through. You are never responsible for somebody else. We want to get in there and try to save other people and try to help them. And that's not to say that you can't, but if you're diving in so much that you're giving off so much of your energy, you'll feel the pull like, oh my God, I got to save Soy. He's in so much trouble. Like, no, it is not your responsibility. They
This
will
is
figure it out.
especially true for all of our empaths out there with the bleeding heart. It's not
Yeah,
your job to fix
it is
people.
not. It is
And
not.
also an invitation, be aware of the energies and don't label them. It's when you label them that you kind of own it as an empath. So what would it take for you to go from an empath to an Awarian, where you can just be aware of the energy without the judgment that locks it in?
Yeah. And now
And what was your second point? I
poof,
pooped.
magic
I'm
dragon.
sorry. I should have.
Yeah. So it's not
Uh,
your responsibility to take care of anybody. It's not your responsibility to save anybody. And number two is really, it'll come to me completely because of a specific line, but withdraw and just be responsible for yourself and be in objectivity. Just watch, versus getting into their nonsense or whatever is going on with them. It is their stuff. It is not yours. I don't think that was the exact thing I wanted to say, but
yeah.
it'll come to me.
And this is the access tool for that objectivity. You just be like, well, interesting point of view that I have this point of view. Interesting point of view that they have this point of view. Interesting point of view that I have this point of view that they have this point of view. So it's like all this tool that is a means to take the charge off of a situation and give you that objectivity where you can just be the observer without getting caught up in the trauma and the drama of the moment.
Absolutely. You're going to encounter all sorts of things. Keep yourself grounded. Just really, what I say to do is before, if you're going to be encountering an event or dinner or Christmas party, whatever, or whatever it may be, even you just have to go visit somebody, hospital, wherever it is, and you anticipate there to be some chaos. I always say do a meditation and do some grounding before you go in. Before you go in, take 15 minutes. It doesn't take long. 15 minutes, do a meditation, ground yourself in the car before you go in. You're gonna handle the situation so much better. Number two just came back. You have control over your emotions. Remember, you are a soul using this body as a vehicle. You have control over your emotions. You have a choice. Every single second is choice. Are you going to dive into this or are you not? So you always, always, always have control over your emotions and you have a choice to dive in or not. You have control. Just know I have control. I have complete control over the situation. Ground yourself before you go in. Do a meditation in the car. Gosh, you got phones and everything now that you can sit in the car and listen right before you go in. So you don't like lose the juice before you go in. And you'll find you're gonna handle it so much better. I promise.
Definitely. And also, I guess I don't have anything else to add to that. I was just thinking about if there's anything else. Well, if you feel like really overwhelmed and you're looking for a contribution, Dr. K and I both work with people individually. You can find out about us on the little website there, emergenceofbeing.com. There's under contributors, we each have pages where you can reach out and connect with us. Any final dealing with drama thoughts as we wrap up today?
Well, with regards to that, I mean, if you're finding like, hey, Hank and Dr. K, no matter how much I try, I still get caught up. Yeah, try.
Do or do not. There is no try.
Either do it or you don't.
Right.
You might have had enough what I call poop thrown on your windshield, on your aura, that it is tricky for you to not get activated. But here's the beautiful thing. There's a way to clear all that out. And it's really a sweep of the hand. I know it's woo-woo, but I have had such success with my clients doing this, just doing the healing techniques. We do, 3 sessions, and it's like, really, I've had people say to me, well, I'm not reacting as much as I used to. And I used to just start crying every time the situation happened. And I pull myself out within a few minutes. This stuff works miracles. It really does. I've had a lot of success. Just had a recent client said, like, yeah, normally I'd be crying about this, and I find I pull myself out within a few minutes. I'm like, oh, bingo. When we clean some of the windshield out, you're able to have more clarity, and you're able to tackle these situations. And you're like, I don't react as much as I used to. It really, really does work.
Yeah, and shamanism, we say you do all this inner work and things. Like, yeah, clear out all the stuff that's not yours, and if you need a tool or a session to do that, great. But like as you start to do this inner work, your bubble becomes like Teflon. Shit hits, but it doesn't stick. And then you have less need to end up needing to go through a process to get rid of everything. And there's just so many tools out there. The thing is, like, practice these tools when you don't need them, so that in the moment when you do, it's so second nature that you just go right to it. Because sometimes we get into that habit, like, hey, I bought all this stuff where I've learned all these things, but I'm not using it. Now when I need it, I'm so flustered that I don't fall as easily into the meditative practice or one of the tools that we've given you. So really practice it when you don't need it. It's such a huge thing.
Absolutely. I think doing just daily meditation, whether not just now, I know way back when I started meditation, I did it every single day. I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm going to commit to 30 days of doing this every single day. I don't know. I did it for like 10 minutes, then I upgraded to 20. And this is exactly what I found. Your soul starts to just, it becomes like a second nature. It's like riding a bike. At first you don't know, and you're like, ugh, and you're going to fall off, and then it's smooth. So your soul will start to acclimate to this, and then you will find you just don't react. So that's the other way to do it. But quick tips, if you're party, get together, wherever you are, business, if things start to get heavy and it's starting to feel tight, just cross your hands. Just cross your hands like that. Put your tongue to the roof of the mouth and just breathe. And just go, That way they don't know, nobody knows. And at least that's protecting you from some of the energy that's coming at you. And Hank has some tips too, I'm sure.
Well, no, just paralleling off of that, what she just said, do that again when you don't need it. Like even while you're taking your shower at every red light, just do that with the intention to kind of center. And what you're doing is just like Pavlov's dog with the tuning fork. You're building an anchor that as soon as you put that tongue to the upper palate and you take a breath, you're training yourself to go back to that space of peace and calm. And now in those moments where you are being triggered, you do that, you've set it as an anchor, and it hits you that much faster.
Yep.
And that's what I do with meditation. Before every meditation, I would take 3 deep breaths, settle in, and now just 3 deep breaths, and I'm instantly in that meditative space. I don't even have to do a full session of meditation anymore. And you can train your body and your being to do that. It's like so useful. And I encourage all of you to do a kindness to you and really anchor a few tools so you really have some resources going into situations like the holidays where you might get triggered more than usual.
Yep. And it does work because I did it. You just have to commit to doing it every single day. And you will absolutely find that you're not reacting to things as much.
Commit or quit.
And if you're still having difficulty, see one of us. We'll clear that thing out for you so that you don't get activated. Give yourself that gift for Christmas. What better gift, really?
Truly. All right. But thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We will catch you next Monday for another episode of Holistic Health and Healing on the Emergence of Being YouTube channel. Until then, stay aware. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining us today for the show. Holistic Health and Healing is part of the Emergence of Being Contributor Network. Visit us at emergenceofbeing.com for all of our contributors' content and to learn about our services and upcoming events. Please take a moment to subscribe to the channel. You can contribute to the show by supporting our efforts and sharing our content with those you care about and those who need it most.